You guys hear? I'm not really capturing you on my screen though. Problem number one. Like I'm seeing my Zoom. What I can do is actually I could just put you on my main screen and then I think that'll do it. But I'm not actually hearing you is my problem. Are you guys talking?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just gonna do this and then we're going to expand this. We're gonna knock out this. And there we go. Okay, good. Hey class, can you guys hear tutors? Tutors, say something. I'm gonna make their faces bigger. I don't know how to make their faces bigger. I'm having a moment right now. Face big. Big face. Big face. Okay, great. So I can't get myself duplicated on the Dorita Chang box. So we're just gonna have to work like this. All right, so that'll do. That'll do. Okay, fine. So you should be able to see our tutors. Wow, the delay. You're not supposed to be listening to both. Justin.
What?
Justin's in a really bad mood because he apparently really just woke up. As you can see by his hair. He just got up.
Oh my God.
Justin, what did you do? Like literally just flatten it?
No, just tie it.
You guys really haven't seen Justin in IRL this term, but it's usually not flat. The hair. Okay. Anyway, children, kids, students. So while I'm waiting for any first questions to come in, one of the things that, first of all, your midterm grades. So there was a question that I had to regrade myself. And so that's actually going to be done a bit later today, and then I'm gonna get Justin to upload your midterm grades on Moodle. So depending on how fast Justin's fingers upload numbers on Moodle, you might be able to get them like end of today or early tomorrow at the latest. So if you need to decide what you're doing about your pass fail stuff, I forget, Justin, when was the deadline for that? Do you remember?
30th of April.
30th of April. So yeah, Justin's like not awake.
I'm awake.
30th. So yeah, so you'll have a day or two to think about how you're doing. In general, it looks okay. One of the things that I'm seeing there's only one question I'm actually regrading, but one of the things I'm seeing is that the question is worth 8 points, right? And there are two things. One is that there are some students who are writing maybe like 80 words and then trying to earn 8 points from 80 words. So obviously it's very unlikely you have written enough to make enough points to get a very good grade on those on that particular question. So do think about it. Like, it's not like we have to give you the points somewhere, right? We actually do like highlight every point that you've written to tick off. The second thing is when you're writing, there are students who are duplicating a lot. Like, a point that they made at the beginning is just reiterated several times until you make a paragraph. And in that case, it's also very difficult to give you points, right? Because even though the instructions, I think I told you guys, it needs to make sense. And what you are writing for the question needs to, it needs to be correct, and then you'll get a point. But the thing is, they need to be unique points, right? So it's not the same point said 5 times in different ways, and that's not going to get you 5 points. So that's another thing to pay attention to. And then the third thing, more generically, is that there are some people who are making correct points, but that are irrelevant to the question, right? Is that what you saw, tutors? Basically, this happens also, and that's where you have to take a little bit of care about. So when you're making that point, although that's correct, is that even related to what the question was about? So those are things you want to think about if you want to because I think I can't really just pull up a student's paper and give you an example. But those are the 3 main things I'm kind of seeing as I am looking through your papers myself. Does anyone have anything that has come up that they want to ask? Otherwise, it's going to make for a very awkward tutorial. The tutors are ready. The tutors are ready. Justin, is that a real background? It's not. I was thinking it's impossible for him to live so neatly. Right? The books on their back are too neat. Have you guys started studying? Why are there no questions? There's nothing to say. Guys, I've got over 40 students here and I've got no questions. Wait, great. So how are we doing on the presentation grading and are there any other grades we owe them?
Yeah, we're done with the presentation, so I will upload it like this afternoon as well.
Okay. Okay. So later this afternoon, you also have those grades. But yeah, I don't know. Like, should we make up questions since they have no questions? Tutors, do you want to make up a question? Our students this morning are a little bit shy. Should I randomly teach another chapter? You guys want to learn about the olfactory system? should we do that in another chapter? Yeah. Okay. One of the questions I got. Oh, lecture 9. Grade of the final paper. Okay. Do you guys want to handle Yunan's question first, and then I will find your lecture 9 slide 33 and see what that one is.
So the grade for the final paper, it is not going to be marked in the near future at the moment because we need to do cross marking to make sure the consistency and stuff. So it will take like at least 2 to 3 weeks for us to finish it. So you're not going to get it before you make the pass-fail decision, if that's what your concern is.
Yeah. So the grade of the final paper is looking like it won't come out before the pass-fail. Yeah, mainly because I had the tutors rush the midterm grades. So that we're working hard on. Is this, Vivian, is this the auditory lecture? You know what, I also have to...
The question about is to type it.
Sorry, yeah, like because... Is it this one over here? Yes, auditory lecture, and you said it was slide 33. So because I have my version, and then I have the version I gave you guys. So yeah, this one, audition 2. Oh, is this audition 2? Or what is this? Oh my god, audition 1. Okay, incorrect lecture. Audition 2. So it should be this one over here. And I see a question. I'm gonna come back to that after I handle this one. This one. Why stem from the left has such a low bar of left? Stem from the left has such a low bar from the left. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, because... Do you know what? Let me bring... Actually, I probably don't have another better example here. Okay. Yeah, because Vivian, it's like, I don't know if you've heard, like, basically the brain works kind of like flipped by the time we have signals reaching the brain. And so maybe you've heard like left data ends up being processed by the right side of the brain. And then right data ends up being processed by the left side of the brain. And right data as in like right ear data. By the time it reaches cortex, it ends up being like left cortex that handles right ear data, and then vice versa, kind of like that. And it's similar to, yeah, I understand where this question is coming from, because like for those people who haven't ever really taken like any biopsych or any neuroscience related things, probably this is a little bit confusing. So it's like almost every system. There are some exceptions, like the motor system is one exception. Yeah, exactly, Vivian, like the eyes. So like many of you might have heard people talk about like how the left eye's input ends up being processed by the right visual cortex, and vice versa. It's the same logic here, Vivian. So that's why it reads like that. Yep. So that's a pretty straightforward answer there. And then I'm going to put your tutors' faces back here while I just see here. Anne's question was, question about audition. Loudness is determined by both frequency and intensity. Yep. Is pitch also determined by factors more than frequency alone? Tutors. Anyone want to attack this one? I'm injecting caffeine. So while I'm trying to probe your tutors to answer this question, yesterday it was really, really funny. Oh, Kathy, you're in my class. So what happened was I didn't have enough caffeine, and that's why telling you guys one simple statement to my advanced class took 3 Moodle announcements. Anyone want to answer this question? Yeah, so Anne, in this case, pitch is solely driven by frequency. But what I want to say is, like, I don't know if you remember that lecture where I was playing demos where I was gradually shortening the clip, and at some point, like, it became so short that you couldn't quite make out the pitch. And so what I wanted to say there is that although pitch is dominantly coded by frequency, there are factors that make us like not sensitive to pitch, and that includes like just not having enough of that temporal data. But it's kind of not really the same type of factor as we see in loudness, because all that is saying is, okay, we don't, like, it doesn't modulate the type of pitch you're hearing. What it's doing is like the length of the data you're hearing just simply affects whether or not you have enough sensory data to be able to make out the pitch. But the pitch itself isn't being modulated by the length. Does that make sense, Anne? Yeah. So, but the answer, really the basic answer there would be, it's really just frequency for that one. Hi, Tracy. With the double I. I'm kind of confused about the theory of 3D glasses and about how does the image of Shrek work? By the way, please don't tell me that there are some students who still don't have their class. I sent one to like Amsterdam. Is my Amsterdam student here? Like, I think that never arrived, did it? I'm kind of, okay, so in the demonstration, you asked us to wear the 3D glasses upside down. Oh, not upside down, but reverse it. Okay, so my 3D tutors. Anyone want to give Tracy an answer? Where is my Shrek picture? Let me find my Shrek picture. Wow.
I haven't seen that picture.
The Shrek picture you saw, it was in class.
Yeah, but I don't have the 3D glasses at that time.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's the principle, right? So, like, what even week was that? Does anyone remember that? Like, I'm trying to find out. Oh, it must have been like, it was the first week. It was the last week before the midterm. Yeah, it should be this one here.
24.
Oh my God. Did you see that? I opened my lecture and it's an empty lecture. Oh, sorry. Originally I had these windows set up like much better, but then this accident happened. Shrek, where are you, Shrek? You don't have 3D glasses in the lab? You're in the real lab, aren't you? That's not a background.
Real lab.
that's
okay,
real.
got it.
We found one.
Okay, here, this is the one. And here's Shrek. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you can see it. But what is the principal, tutors, of being able to see 3D, first of all? What is each of those filters doing?
Right, so
filtering the images.
You're right. So, see, you're wearing your glasses upside down, by the way. But so we have one red filter and we have one cyan filter, okay? And each filter will, hold on, think about it, guys. Remember what I taught you about light and and how different wavelengths of light are being reflected or absorbed or let through depending on the color of the surface. Do you remember I told you? Remember? So why do we see a red apple as a red apple? Because that red composition happens to reflect back the red wavelength of light, and then it more or less lets pass or lets absorb everything else. So now if you were to guess, okay, I'm wearing a red filter on one eye, okay, that's helping reflect back right? Or pass through different forms of wavelengths as well. So that's why if you look at the Shrek picture here, you have basically half an image that is sort of filtered with cyan shade, and then half that is filtered with the reddish shade. And so that's helping you to segregate the two channels of data so that we can have one eye only receiving that red half and one eye only receiving the cyan half. Now, why is that important is because you see how one eye's data, it looks like the red data is sort of shifted towards the right, like it's totally a lateral shift, right? And so basically by doing this lateral shift, we are able to simulate what we are regularly seeing in a 3D world. Like if in a regular setting, I'm looking at, let me show you guys, it's not Larry, it's my Perel buddy, because 2020 is about like excessively buying hand sanitizers. And so my Perel buddy, if I'm staring at it in real life, because it's in depth, how do I know it's in depth is because each of its position as I'm going from the front to the back of Perel buddy, okay, it's going to create a slightly shifted image on my left eye with respect to my right eye. And that's why I see it so vividly as being this 3D shape. Now, of course, when I'm giving you the Shrek image, it's a 2D image. It's flat on your screen. So there's no way I'm going to be able to make it feel like be able to simulate its 3D structure unless I do it so that I give you these filters and I separate these left and right images to kind of simulate that effect. So that's a long answer, Tracy, for basically saying the demonstration there with the glasses is simply to show you how we can take these 2D images and create basically these overlapping shifted ones, and then just simulate the whole segregation of your eyes in the real world by asking you to wear filters. So then what am I doing? See if one of my tutors can answer this. What am I doing when I am asking for example, the students to reverse the polarity, to flip the glasses around?
The image will go in.
The image will go in instead of going out, okay? And so some students might be confused about that. So first of all, Tracy, are you okay with like the filter part? So that should be okay, right? So what is happening now when we reverse I'm wearing now the red filter on my left instead of on the right? Okay, well, what happens is, let me just update you on sort of, maybe you guys didn't really think about it, but why do we see certain things in depth to be near to us, Perel buddy, and why sometimes is like near as in like in front of something, and how come sometimes we see things that are sort of farther behind our fixation area? Well, that's because if you think about how these images are on Shrek right now, so basically we have the red one shifted to the right and the blue one shifted to the left, okay? So basically what we're doing is our brain is just saying, okay, left eye minus right eye data, let's say, fixed. And so now, if I reverse my glasses, the left eye minus right eye data, instead of being negative, becomes positive, for example. And that sign of data, okay, dictates whether something is perceived to be near or far. And so when I was asking you to kind of flip the polarity, I was trying to get you to see whether you see Shrek kind of way back now instead of popping out to you. All right, so hopefully that's good. By the way, does frequency and pitch have the same unit? A little bit. Oh, I see. Okay, well, tutors, maybe you wanna. This one's a pretty easy one.
Yeah, they do. They're kind of describing the same thing, right? But just as you said, in a physical and perception viewpoint.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard that. So the hertz is what lecture was that also? I guess I don't really have a good graph for that. Probably week 12. Sorry, my PowerPoints are all numbered differently. I guess not, right? Like, I don't have a good graph for that. Because all the graphs we have are frequency and, like, SPL and Fons. Yeah, I don't have a good example here. But like Hillary said, I guess the simple question, tutors, you can ask yourself is when I play a tone, okay, and we say, well, what do you hear? We really only just describe it as like it's a low pitch, it's a high pitch. We don't really quantify, like we don't really tag a unit to it, right? It's a high frequency sounding pitch. So I guess that's where the sort of confusion is, because we don't really formally, that was Anne's question, right? We don't really formally tag a unit to like the psychological percept of how high or how low a pitch is sounding. I guess that's the main thing. So yeah, and no, there isn't a difference. Like the hertz itself is really physically referring to the physical frequency of the thing, but like when we're actually psychologically describing it, I think it's just really like the layperson, even in the psychology lab, it's like how high a pitch is or how low a pitch is. I mean, formally, there are also musicians who tag a pitch with like letters, right? So aside from that, there really isn't another psychology system for quantifying that pitch perceptually. When covering one eye, the image received by one eye seems the same and can still detect depth. Okay, this one's an easy one. I turn this over to you, tutors. Well, I sanitize my hands. I don't know why. I'm in the comfort of my own office.
Well, so the 3D glass example we just talked about is the use with binocular cues. So we need 2 eyes to see the 3D pictures with the glasses, right? But then on top of the binocular cues, we also have the monocular cues, right? So when you cover one eye, you're relying on the monocular cues to perceive the depth of the scene or the object or whatever that is. So do you recall what the monocular cues are?
Justin is so serious in the morning, like before his caffeine intake. You realize that? Like I've never seen him be like so educational.
Well, I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
I also don't know if I meant that as a compliment. I don't know if you picked that up, but yeah, Justin's absolutely right there. So remember that, yeah, that's okay. So firstly, when we cover one eye, we absolutely have no more binocular or stereoscopic cues to depth. Okay, so if we're talking about disparity, as in the Shrek left and right split disparity, then we have none of those. But if we have, in terms of like asking, well, in real life, it's not like I still am misled about the depth of this object, even if I do this, right? And that's because, remember, we talked about those monocular cues first, because we still have perspective cues, because we still have, do you remember, like, pictorial cues with the atmospheric stuff, right? So there are still those cues to depth. And that's a really good question, because that's something you need to remember when, like, if I were to ask you, to explain to me how do we see depth, right? It's not just about stereo vision. It's not just about disparity. It's all these other things too. And while actually we're on this, I did get a very interesting question in my email over the weekend. And then it struck me that maybe there's some misunderstanding as to, do you remember when we're talking about the horopter? I see, Katrina, your stuff. Yeah, image-based cues, exactly. And what I want to do is just clarify this, and I'm just going to draw all over your tutor's face. So, who should I draw on? Justin, right? So if you if you remember, we talked about, firstly, that everything at fixation, is not going to have disparity. Okay, everything at fixation is your reference point. And then we said, we said anything along the plane of fixation has zero disparity, but everything off of it will be near or far, will look because of the disparate images falling to the left and right of the eyes. And then I said, okay, well, but we need to tweak this a little bit, because not only things that lie on your plane of fixation, but things that fall along this arc, right, called the horopter. Oh. Okay, great. And so what I want to clarify then is, because it was an interesting question from the student. I don't know if you're here, but it was, well, hold on. In principle, when I'm at a theater and I'm not watching a 3D movie, right, then shouldn't that mean that I still get disparity cues? Because like there will be images on my screen that are falling off of the horopter, right? But then why don't I get the stereoscopic cue? Why don't I get the disparity? So here's the problem here. I just want to clarify. Under two situations, you will not have stereoscopic disparity. The first is if my fixation is here, the geometric plane that corresponds to the point that cuts through the plane. So the flat plane that cuts through this point of fixation will have zero disparity. The second situation is, so this is this plus this. Second situation is, in addition to the plane, the flat geometric plane that crosses it, everything that falls along the horopter will also have zero disparity. Okay, so hopefully that helps you now go back to the question, which I think was a pretty good one from the student. We actually had to go back and forth a little bit because I couldn't really understand what the question was, but that's the answer. Okay, so that's why, so it's not the case that when I'm sitting in a 3D theater that just because things are falling off of the arc that I'm seeing disparity. Okay, just remember, because the whole screen is flat and because you are fixating on that plane of the screen, right? That's where you're focusing. So everything there will also generate zero disparity. Okay. Did I miss anything? Regarding Anne's question, can we say that for physical frequency, it is the professional term to describe? Yeah, Katrina. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's a professional term to, well, and it is also the physics term to describe the stimulus itself. But when we are like describing a percept, it is really like how do we tag a unit to the percept of pitch? And it just occurs to me, like given your question, and it's a good one too, because we don't really do. We just say it's a high sounding pitch and it's a low sounding pitch, but we don't say, oh, it's a high frequency. Well, I guess some scientists might say, oh, it's a high frequency sounding thing. Right. And if we ask, like, I guess, and musician wise, okay, the C sharp, the D, the D sharp, those would be psychological names as well to correspond to the physical hertz. Yeah, good questions. Good questions. Anything else? Oh, weird things happen. Anyone notice anything? Guys, no one has like no reaction. Oh my god. There might be someone typing. Sounds suspiciously quiet. Suspiciously quiet. Is
So
the
that's the final cumulative.
What? Is the final cumulative? Tutors, is the final cumulative?
Yes and no, I guess.
Always has been.
Okay, this is really a teacher question. I think I addressed this last week in the last class, but it's cumulative in the sense that all the questions will surely be about the second half stuff, but it's cumulative in the sense that like you might need to talk about the eye and the retina, and like And so it's unfair to say it's non-cumulative because it's not like you could just totally forget about the existence of the eye and how, you know, how it works. And so it's cumulative in that sense. But it's not cumulative in the sense that, like, I won't test you on SDT. Okay, I'll take it off. I'll take it off. Jesus. All right, there we go. There we go, Justin. Feeling better.
Nope.
Does anyone have any other non-educational questions while we are waiting for some very educational questions? I'm pretty sure we had some non-educational questions last year, didn't we? I'll just keep drawing on tutors then. Who should I draw on next? So KY complained about how her hair didn't look very good. So, oh my god, you can't move while I'm doing this. Okay, well. There. This looks more like your hair now. I actually didn't have enough hair on the like cartoon version. Sorry, this one is a mistake. Like this part here is a mistake. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Can I have blue instead?
I forgot how to change ink color.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions about life in general? The tutors are really good at life questions. It's just I'm really bad at life questions. I don't really have a life. I don't know how to change this. How do you change this? I can't. We're using red. I don't know how to change it. Great. Great. Did I have any other questions in my inbox? Although you know what I need to do. Questions. Do we have questions? Tutors, make up a question.
I wish have this function.
What's that?
I wish have this function of the black background.
Oh, I'm just going through my inbox. I'm trying to see, like, if there's anything else that might be beneficial here.
Well, we only have like 48 audience. Well, minus us, then that will be like 43. A third of the class.
Yeah. What do you guys want me to ask you for your bonus question? Size distance stuff sounds like you guys seem to be pretty good with that. We have a question here.
Just my age of Harry was far more older than my age. Should I be worried about that? Well, get yourself checked.
Yeah, but like my answer to you, Katrina, is like, do you remember how Justin performed on that test?
I was the best in the class, okay?
Like his hand. What was the age equivalent for Justin? Was it like 60 something?
50 something.
50 something. Yeah. What should I ask you? So I actually haven't written it because I've been really busy this past week because a number of really wonky things. But I actually haven't written it yet, so I haven't thought about it yet. So you guys have to ask me something funky, so I can give you a very funky answer that only you 40-something will know.
I don't know, like 10 of the class said the snail's name was me, Justin.
Well, because our class is like 100 and like it's almost on like 120 something. It's
Yeah.
120 something, but like regularly we have like 80 people going to class. So there are supposed to be 40 that just make up the answers. So guys, you need to think of a good question to ask me so that I can give you a response that only you will know. Okay? So bake on that. But I guess like, we have to give Katrina a serious answer.
I think your question could be like, where was Nicole's background in the tutorial?
Yeah, but like not everyone will have. Oh, in this tutorial.
Yeah.
Isn't she in Japan? Yeah, but that's not a fun question.
That's true.
Because a lot of people know Nicole's basically Japanese. Mr. X? Who's Mr. X? We definitely got like rando answers. Turbo. Turbo is because whoever answered Turbo definitely didn't go to class. Because that's the real life answer. That's the IRL.
Well, only one student answered Turbo.
Turbo.
There's a lot of Gary.
And then I have like 20 Garys.
There were a lot of hearts around Larry. Like a lot of extra things. You know? It must be like a fact you want to ask. Would you?
What if you use earphone?
Oh, Katrina. Yeah, we never answered. But okay, honestly speaking, though, Katrina. So my dad used to work in a very noisy. I won't tell you exactly where he works, but like he used to work in like an environment with a lot of machines and a lot of really loud noises. Like they weren't like themselves. They weren't necessarily over. Like they wouldn't be like dangerous loud, but it was constant background loud machines. And so like, yeah, obviously he is aging, but he has particularly accelerated problems because of the constant stimulation. And so really when we were demonstrating that, I mean, it's the same with aging. Honestly, natural aging is the result of it's a wear and tear problem. And so it is true that working in any environment or subjecting yourself to loud house parties all the time, okay, kids, is not good for your hearing. So do keep that in mind. It is actually a real thing. And so the more you are subjecting it to stimulation repeatedly, then the more you are potentially accelerating your hearing loss. That's still. I have a little bit of delay because I'm watching it on YouTube as well. Let's see if that goes away first. Is that gone? Okay, good. All right, have a look, guys. So you see this? You see this? This is my water gun. This is my water gun. And last year in our lab meetings, it actually has water. Actually, I don't know how old this. Oh God, I don't know how old this water is. Oh wow, it reaches my door. But it started being the point where like my students started wearing raincoats and bringing umbrellas to lab meetings. Okay, so this was last year's lab weapon, and then this year, you know what we have this year? We have a Nerf gun. We have a Nerf gun this year. And this Nerf gun shoots so far, you have no idea. Like, if I shoot it from here, it'll bounce off my door and come back. Oh, my God. Anyway, so that's what happens in my lab. People start having to wear, like, it's like a waterproof, bulletproof vest to lab meetings. It's like, what is your update? What did you say? Say again?
Shot Larry with the water gun.
I can't. Because Hong Kong is really, like, humid. Like, Larry will never dry. Are you ready for the final? Is the proprioception optic flow part carrying the same mechanism as the vision lecture one? like the underlying physiology. Okay, well, we'll just get the tutors to see if they can answer this one.
So the object close would flow fast. So
Yeah. I mean, the near point move faster.
The near point moves faster. Oh, for that part, yes. So when we were talking about, like, if we're just thinking about retinal image changes, right? That one is stuff that kind of is the same stuff we were talking about from all the other vision lectures, right? In terms of, well, and also in terms of when I was teaching you how things that are closer also create bigger retinal images. And so in fact, when we were doing that part, okay, let me just get that slide up then, we might as well, because I'm sure no one really wants to look at my Nerf gun. That should be the last lecture. Keep asking me questions because there are a lot of random crap in my office here that could make really good bonus questions. I don't know why there's so much random crap here. Like the cleaners that come in actually ask about them. They're like, do you test a lot of kids? I don't actually. This one, right? Sorry, I can't even see. So this one here is basically the same thing. It's just the in terms of talking about the distance and speed. I think this was a part of when I was just saying like what the use of the optic flow information is. I think that what the novel part here isn't so much about how the retinal images are changing here. I think you guys could have probably deduced this from like all the vision lectures that we had. The novel part here is considering the data that is generated by our ego motion. And so that's really the key part here about the whole thing with JJ Gibson and like how if we just care about things that are external, like when we are static, okay, in fact, that doesn't quite mimic natural settings in terms of what is available to us to understand the world. What if we are just static, because seldom are we really just standing static. But the key here is when we are navigating the environment, there's a lot of this other stuff too. As a consequence of my navigation, the optic data changes very characteristically, right? So whether it is the case of here, where I am maybe moving laterally with respect to everything, okay, or whether it is the case of here, for example, when I am moving forwards or backwards, with the, if you imagine the manner of which the visual data change, can tell you a lot about what's there in the environment. So this is when we started to talk about the FOE and everything else. So yeah, so in terms of like the mechanistic basis that you're talking about though, like in terms of like, you know, something like this with retinal changes, then that's something that should be pretty easy for you to understand before this class anyway. Jalik, right? Jalik says, is size perception related to cortical magnification? Very good question. Any tutors want to? If your tutors were really here, I would probably shoot them with a water gun or a Nerf gun to pick who should answer this question. Oh, focus of expansion. Hey, is that you, Kaysen? Should I shoot you with a? Ah! That hurt. Focus of expansion. Focus of expansion. I'll type this out here. Yeah. Hi, Cherry. Welcome to class. I guess you were always here. Yeah, tutor. Jalik's question.
It's related to the variability of cortical magnification.
So in terms of the psychological percept of size, psychological percept of size, do you guys remember the size distance equation? Tutors, do you remember the size distance equation? Perceived size is proportional to what?
Retinal image size,
Retinal image size and
perceived distance.
perceived distance. Okay, so now, so if we're talking about that, then I feel like someone just broke into our lab, just based on those two responses on Zoom. So in terms of psychological percept of size, it's those two factors. However, Jalik, if your question really is talking about our ability to see size, is it related to cortical magnification? Okay, so that's a different question, right? So, okay, so let's just make sure everyone is clear. So perceived size, psychological percept of size, let's just even write that. Psychological percept of size is equal to retinal image size, okay, times perceived distance, because we never will know the exact distance. Okay, that is what determines our psychological percept of size. Now what I want to say is, if Jalik is asking about our sensitivity to seeing things at different sizes, this does involve cortical magnification. And why does it involve cortical magnification? Because, like you guys learned in this is why everything links also to the first half. Because as what was cortical magnification, if you remember, it was the fact that as we are moving away from central vision, we have fewer or less neurons, tutors, dedicated to perceiving things. Towards the periphery, we have fewer or more representation. Bigger or less representation? Less representation.
Less.
So because of this, we can't see as clear. Given a fixed size, here's our lab dog here. Given a fixed size of a stimulus, okay, this stimulus placed at my fixation will be much better detected than this same physical stimulus placed at 20-degree eccentricity off to the side, okay? So the ability to detect things of the same size does depend on cortical magnification. So in fact, what we do in research is that for something of a given size, let's say we want to do a fair comparison of your sensitivity to this thing at this location versus this thing at this location, what we actually have to do is compute how far eccentric you are putting your stimulus, and then we need to make it fair visibly in terms of fair visually and in terms of visibility to your visual system by taking this dog and amplifying it. And so if that was the question, then yes, it is related to cortical magnification. Is there anything else here? I don't know why I put my mic in the middle of, like, right in front of the chat. I can't see it. I can't see. So I lost a couple bullets. I don't know where they went. Anything else? Yeah, Jolly, good question though. Awkward. How you guys doing with, like, your other courses? Are you, like, things ending? Things should be ending soon, right? Only intensity hurts hearing, accelerates hearing loss. Can high frequency sound also accelerate hearing loss? No, not really. So because, and you can think of it as like a wear or tear thing. And so because of that, it is really just about the magnitude of stimulation. So in that sense, then It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what frequency we're talking about. It's really just about the amplitude of it. And note, although we already understand that the psychological percept of loudness relates to also the pitch, but that doesn't have any relationship to, for example, how high that neuron is firing, right? And so the short answer to your question is then no. But then you might ask why. Like, why does, like, some of, again, because we do, in fact, hear some, like, when we hear some of the high frequency pitches, tutors, right? Like, it almost feels like it hurts, right? Because it, like, what is a sound, right? So it's not actually hurting you, but it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant. Tutors, while we're waiting for any other questions, do you guys have any more generic things you want to kind of say about just approach to what you kind of saw when you were grading the midterm, aside from the things I mentioned? Anything you saw that needs particular attention?
Keep to the word limit.
Keep to the word limit. Did you guys have a lot that went over?
I think for question 2 and 3, we did get one student who wrote like 500 words or something like that.
Okay. I think I saw, right? You just didn't read the last 200? I think I saw that paper.
We stopped at 300, yeah.
Okay. So do be mindful. Do be mindful of that. Do be mindful of that.
And I think sometimes drawing a diagram would be quite useful to help you to illustrate your understanding towards the question as well.
So make it clear about what you're drawing, because sometimes the drawings are a bit hard to understand for some.
Basically, she's saying your drawing sucks.
Just be careful when you draw.
That's a good translation.
I would say if the question has like a few parts to it, like always look at the verb. Like if it says describe this and evaluate this or something, like try and answer the question directly and think of how many parts there are to the question.
Oh, and don't copy from Wikipedia. It's quite obvious for some of you.
Did you seriously have that?
Like for my questions, I did the signal detection theory. So a few students, I think 10 or 20 of them, actually say, refer to the figure below. Line A represents blah, line B represents blah, and there's no figure in the answer at all. Or the blue line is what, the red line is what, and then there's no figure in the answer. So it's quite obvious they just copy the thing from somewhere. Not textbook, but internet, yeah.
Okay, so what I'm getting at from your tutors is that your drawing sucks, and we can tell when you are copying from Wikipedia. Great. You know, in general, okay, so let me just tell you a little bit why, while we're waiting for any other questions, why I was actually regrading one of the questions. And actually, it was a question that almost all of you answered. A part of it was because, like, this particular question, like, I won't say which one it was, that there were a lot of random additional facts that were not quite relevant to what I was asking. And I was kind of trying to save your grade. and so I took all of them, and I wanted to go through them myself to see what I can do to add to your grades, all of you. But it would be tremendously helpful in the whole process if you can avoid me having to do that and just kind of just stick to, like, do read the question a couple times before you start typing, and do make sure that you are somehow showing us why that point, like how that point links to what I am asking there. In general, like, honestly, we're not out to get you. We're trying to help you do well, but like, if I have to highlight, because what happens is when we don't really just grade and then that's it and we turn your grades in, like, we do get audits, right? Like, some every so often we do have to, for the faculty, we have to send up sample exams and sample and how we allocated our points. And so as much as we want to help you, if we showed the auditor that we gave a random point to some writing that was not even related to the question, then obviously that's not going to fly with them. So do help us help you gain points. I guess that's what I'm trying to say there. But yeah, so that's why I'm actually in the process of finishing that. I think I have 20 left, and then I'll send them to Justin to just add up everything. But yeah, that's it. So how did the presentations go? They were okay, right?
Yeah,
I
wonderful.
saw my face in one. Is that student here? I'm just holding my Nerf gun. Are you guys feeling a little tense? I think it might be me that's feeling a little tense because I'm holding my Nerf gun. I have a lot of bullets. Do you want to see all my bullets? It's like ask questions, guys. You don't really want a full tour of my office. Where are my bullets? I just found a bullet here. So what I actually do every day is I walk down to my lab and I bring my Nerf gun with me in my pocket. So that's why actually I wear a lot of jackets because this Nerf gun fits in my jacket. Oh, do you know what I actually made, Justin? I can share it with you guys. It was all planned for the past 6 months for my perception class. So I bought a 3D printer, right? And like, I'm sure this is like all the students really want to know about this. So I bought a 3D printer like quite a while ago, but for science, for research. But then, do you remember, did I tell you guys? I'm pretty sure I told Nicole and KY. Like I found this thing on how to make Spider-Man's web shooter. And actually, it was like I printed all the parts, and I even bought all the like magnets and all these things, like, you know, and like web looking like yarn and everything. And I had like, it was almost done, and then like it was supposed to debut in our 2051 this term, but we had like no class after the first week. So you guys missed that. You'll have to come back next year. Maybe not in the context of failing and coming back next year, but like you might want to hop in next year. And
Oh, this would be another good bonus question. Actually.
what? Oh, my web shooter. It's not a bad bonus either, right? But it's really good. Like it was literally like a wristband thing, and I had bought I bought everything. I even bought the band, and so it was just like, you know, and I bought even like that little like mechanism that read thing detector. No one really cares. Okay, any other questions? No one really cares. No one really cares. Yeah, so I was supposed to get you guys with that. That was supposed to be your surprise, but we never had class. Any other questions? Okay, you're gonna ace this final then, I guess. You guys still thinking? You guys still going through your things? I think we're gonna run this for maybe another like 20 minutes or so. So do type it out. How many of you guys are graduating this year? Are you done? Done? Is this your did this year happen to be your 4th year? It's a little bit unfortunate, but. Will there be cross-topic questions? Did I have cross-topic questions in the last exam? No, right? It's going to be pretty much the same type of questions that you saw in the midterm. I can't think immediately of. Oh, you were my Psych 1001. Wow, and you're graduating now. Oh yeah. God, that was 4 years ago. Yinan, you just told them how old I am. That was my first year of teaching here. I think. Oh, I only ever taught it once. Yinan, do you remember? Your first, that was my first year of teaching here, and I still do this. I walk a lot. When I teach. And that class, because it was so big, like I had to work out every class. I had to work out every class. Here are all my bullets, by the way. Oh, you can't see because of my effect. My effect. You had a Christian, I think, also taught it for the very first time in term 2 of that same year. And I remember, let me tell you about Christian. You know, we probably shouldn't be doing this publicly. Like, he asked me for all my slides, right? And you'd think, like, come on, a colleague did all the work for you and sent all your slides. And then what does he say? What does he say? He said my slides were ugly. That's what he said. So after that, I never gave him a single thing. He can just suck it. He can just. I gave him everything. And he said, why are your slides so ugly? And I said, well, at least I made slides. What's wrong with you? Freudian slip peg. Oh, yeah. That was a great pick. With, like, Freud on the bed. You should have. It's fine. Christian, bring it on. Come on. Take me down. You know all these guns I have in front of me? I'm ready. See all these bullets? Yeah, that's right. I gave him okay, you know, not quite everything, but that's my point. It's my traumatic experience. I have a lot of traumatic experiences. Now we're getting into the not so quite course-related educational questions. Please keep firing away. I have so much to vent. You have no idea. That was a good class. Like, I thought it was a fun class, right? But I thought it was also like I did it once and I never wanted to do it again. And also, a lot. Were any of you in my stats classes then? Because that should have been my lab. That was, I taught stats that year also. I taught every 2060 and every 1004 class for 2 years. I think that's what happened. Okay, you have 15 minutes left to either ask me about my traumatic experiences or ask me about this course. And then obviously you can also email me when you get more into the reviews. Wow, 1001, that was a long time ago. Anyone who is like 1004. Hopefully that wasn't taught by me. Hopefully that wasn't taught by me. I think I taught it in term 2 that year, honestly. Great. My stats class is usually like I don't remember. It's one of those things where you kind of, just like you guys have courses where you don't really want to remember, I also have mine. So that's one of those. 2060 is another one. You kind of want to wipe your name off of that history. I forgot what I was gonna say. Okay, well, so any of you not in your 4th year who might be thinking about taking advanced perception, what I want to say is it's not going to be taught next year. It's probably not. So I'm sorry. But advanced perception is interesting because it's not in this sort of format. We visit special exceptions to the sensory system. So, like we had one about when V1 is gone, what happens? Okay, and we had another one which is usually very hot, like what happens when all the different senses get mixed up. And so we have synesthesia and those types of experiences. So we get into really interesting things. How are mirror neurons linked to autism? Great. Tutors. Anyone want to give this a shot? Because I have a very straightforward answer. Can any of you tutors guess what my answer is? Jalik, are you ready for it? I don't think anyone's ready for that answer. Come on, tutors. You know what my answer is going to be. Justin.
Well, it's only one of the factors that might affect autism, but it's not a must, right?
Okay, what I want to say is it doesn't. So why I used to do more of this, but I kind of got sick of it. The premise of mirror neurons, let's just be more educational about this. The premise of mirror neurons is that they happen to be these physiological neurons, physiological underpinning that just so happen responds both to when I do an action myself and when I look at someone doing that same action. That's all we know scientifically. Okay, so the question is, how come? And I did show you a clip on it because it's my duty to show you how far people are taking this thing. They think that it makes them a very good candidate. Makes them a very good candidate to be something that potentially might have gone wrong in the case of autists. In a sense, that itself shouldn't be anything we make fun of. They're right. It is something that is very appealing. If I were to make a hypothesis, what better than something in the prefrontal cortex, in the PMD, in these neurons that happen to respond to both because they happen to be this perfect linked? What better candidate area than this? There's no data scientifically at this point to support that because it's an extension. Okay, because we can say people who have trouble action understanding might be very likely to have PMD deficits, mirror neuron issues. That probably is maybe the best kind of scientifically grounded thing. But if we want to say, oh, now when we have autists who happen to be socially not so great, let's just automatically conclude they are socially not so great because their shared action understanding and action perception neurons happen to be faulty. That is like another link forward, and which is why my 1001 students, right? I think I talked about, I might have even touched upon this that year. I don't remember. It was too long ago, but like, I'm pretty sure if I did touch upon it, it would have been like with a lot of eye rolling and a lot of sarcasm because it's an appealing thought with no scientific data. So yeah, may you doubt the existence of mirror neurons? That is a mere memory retrieval. Oh, that's another question. But Jalik, yeah, that's my answer to that. It's an appealing thing that scientists are trying to link to autism. But the science behind that is not there. So if we were to objectively say, if I were to ask you about a mirror neuron question, because that's what we're here about, right? How do I do it all in 2051 final? If I were to ask you about that, what are the functions of mirror neurons? Then my answer would be they're neurons that happen to respond both to an individual's percept of an action and an individual's production of the same action. And that's really the be all and end all. You could speculate. It has been suggested that mirror neurons might be linked to other things, including autism. But like there's really no scientific link there right now. But that's how I would attack a question like that. So can you doubt that the existence of mirror neurons is about memory retrieval instead of specialized neurons? According to your memory, the acquired parts of the brain would be fired when there is memory retrieval. So the prefrontal cortex is involved in a lot of stuff. Memory, yes, also including it's an attentional system as well. Can we conclude that is about memory retrieval? I'm trying to think of any evidence counter to that. I think it would be unlikely only because of the specificity of what we see. Like if you remember that slide, I don't remember. So what lecture was that, guys? Is this the last lecture? That's the last lecture, isn't it? It's the last lecture. Just find it. The slide with the monkeys, with the monkey grasping and blah, blah, blah. Oh, was it must be the last lecture. This one. So this one here, and let me just find my highlighter here. Because we do really see, is there another slide here? You know what? I don't have it. Do I not have the slide with like an experimenter picking up something? Maybe it's, here. This one here. because of the specificity of like, if it's just about memory of like, of the picking up an object action, I would guess that this should trigger it as well. Like the idea that is so specific to like the hand picking the thing up, like I would have to say it is unlikely it's just about memory and retrieving an action set memory. Unless what you are saying, sorry, I need to pull up your chat again. Because I'm not seeing you. Oh, okay. So in this case, is U353457, is that Kaysen actually? I don't know what to call you because I can't remember. Is that you? Is that you? So student, to the extent that if we don't just talk about the memory process itself, the fact that if the premise is in order to action understand, I need to go and retrieve from a template of actions, then in that case, I think then yeah, oh, okay, I see. Then in that case, then I think we could probably buy into that. So the prediction there is that if we have never learned the action before, I don't want to say it's like about memory, but I might be okay with saying about linking it back up, about retrieving an action set, about retrieving the comparable action set. So the prediction there should be that if we were to present this monkey with an action he has never performed himself, then he should not be able to do it. And that's an interesting question because I'm not sure if that type of study has ever been done. Good. Anything else? I think we are closing in, what time is it? In like 5-ish minutes. So, forever hold your peace, guys. Anything you want to ask, let it out now. Tutors, anything you want to say? Dead air. Dead air.
Your final.
What final?
Good luck to your final.
Good luck to your final. What would you like me to ask you on your final? This is a good question. This is a good question. What are you really good at? What would you like to really write about? Nothing. No. No answer. Do you want to see my Spider-Man web shooter? I didn't bring it. Hillary, this thing really exists, though. Oh, you know. Oh, you have something you want to say. Kaysen has another question. Do you know, I think, what is a difficult bonus question already this year? The question of who is your tutor? Yeah, that's right. Just remember anything and everything. Oh, remember anything as a question. Please write down anything you learned in this course. Wouldn't that be a great question? You know what? That's not a bad suggestion. And then it'll be like these random, like I remember it. I imagine there'd be like an answer, be like random things like retina, perception, Larry. Just random like nouns put together. It'd be a list of nouns that are relevant to this class. You ask the name of your tutor. I suppose this is a hard question this year. Audition and you want to be asked about audition and not proprioception. Proprioception is probably like I think it's an easy lecture. If there's a question about that, it would be more about like optic flow stuff. Oh God, I just said that. I have to take this YouTube video down afterwards. there was a question on that. Any last things, guys? Any last things? I give you the permission to ask Justin to do something funny on camera before we close. Okay, no, Justin. No. 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 What's the surname of your lecturer? This is easy. They could just look it up. I put a big X on the tutors you don't like. Do I have it on the correct one? Okay, Justin, count it down. 10 seconds. We're gonna end it. Well, thanks, guys. Like I know a lot of the reason why probably there aren't questions yet is probably you haven't really studied so much yet. But I think handle it like you had for the midterm, and so now you have kind of a taste of what the questions will sort of be like, and so yeah, study the same way. I think you saw why there's an advantage to reviewing, even though there isn't so much a memory component, but like having a good understanding already, going through every lecture and having a good understanding of all the concepts makes it much more efficient, right, for you. Makes it much more efficient for you to formulate your answer quickly, because it's not like you have a lot of time. So to the extent that like the studying should be more of an understanding type of studying, and I think it's a little bit different than previous years because like there is no memory component, and in that sense I think you should feel a little bit more relaxed, but that doesn't mean don't study. And like from the question papers that I had been regrading, which is basically almost all of you honestly, that it is clear which students had really never attended classes and isn't really quite understanding the content, and it's clear who really did study. And so I guess the message there is try to just understand the content, but also with the appreciation that when we are grading, like honestly, we are on your side here. We are trying to give points where we can, and so do make enough unique points to help us give you those marks. But with the understanding that like it's not like you can just arbitrarily write a sentence that might be correct but has no relationship and expect to get a point there. So do help us with that regard. Help us help you, like I said, with regards to issuing points there. There's no particular reason why we need to why we want to look out and try to keep grades from you. So that's sort of so that's sort of what the tip really is. The study everything tip is obviously just tongue in cheek, but yeah. So make sure you write enough, like not just 80 words, and expect to have. Well, I mean, if you can manage 8 unique points in 80 words, that's okay. But do make sure you have written enough, and make sure that while it's correct, that it also does link up to the question. And then I think most of you should be fine. A lot of you did really well on the midterm. So we'll release those as soon as we can, probably like as soon as I get the last 20 regraded, and then. Depending on how Justin does on the uploading of the grades, so maybe by the end of today, early tomorrow. And then if you need to, if you would like to go and check, Justin, how were we doing because it used to be that they could book an appointment and come in.
Yeah, I think maybe early next week, or I will set the days to consolidate all of the appointments on Zoom, then I can talk them through their answers maybe.
Yeah, so I think what we could do, like if you wanted to go and like understand where you lost points, for example, I think what we could do is, so we can't send you back your exam. So that's one of the things that we can't do at the university level. But what we can do is like, we could go on, like you could set up a Zoom appointment with Justin, and he can gather. Sorry, like I'm hungry. He can gather all the Freudian slip, guys. Freudian slip. He can gather all your because what happened was because we don't have the physical copy, so when the tutors were grading, they like highlighted where you got the points, and so he can gather that question from each of the tutors, like where all the points were given, and then probably have a meeting with you on Zoom to just like show you, maybe share screen to show you where those points came in. So if you would like to do that, feel free to contact Justin to do that. But we can't actually send you back your exam with the markings. Although it's an exam that I will never issue again. So yeah, okay. So if there's nothing else, then thank you guys again. Good luck next week. Please submit on time. I'm going to be compulsively F5ing to make sure everything's in. If we have an SEN student here in chat, it will be the same thing. Justin will set up those special submission folders for you guys after for your submission. Thanks, Vivian. Since you're graduating, this is my fireworks. Oh wait, no, I have a background effect. I don't like. I have so many windows open right now. Like, oh, because the X is on Justin. Okay. Yeah. Background effect. Yeah, you guys take care of yourself. I know like this is the time, it's crunch time where I got a lot of course stuff. And so in some ways it's kind of nice how we get this exam out of the way quickly. You know, keep trying there, guys. You got like a couple more weeks, right? 3 more weeks, maybe everything is going to be done. So just hang in there, and then you guys get like some time to sleep at home and play. What is the latest, hottest game? Don't tell me Animal Crossing. Don't you,
Okay,
any
so
of you dare tell me you're playing Animal Crossing? Or Candy Crush. Like, what is that? None of those things. We'll see you around. Those who aren't graduating, we'll see you around next year. And do you like drop in and say hi so I know who you are? Background looks nice. Yeah, right? I was gonna say what? There's nothing different here. So yeah, take care, guys. Good luck. Good luck next week. Email me if you have anything that comes up. Okay, great. Take care. See you guys. Thanks, tutors. We'll end meeting over here. And thanks, guys, over here. Ciao.